Welcome to ISE's Equity Index Weekly Outlook, a weekly outlook on ISE and other industry indexes, hosted by Patrick Seresna, a derivative market specialist and investment manager with extensive expertise in options and the broader derivative markets. ISE trades options on more than 15 proprietary sector indexes, as well as broad-based indexes and a variety of licensed benchmarks. ISE continually enhances its trading systems and develops new index options products to provide investors with the best marketplace and investment tools to trade smarter.
Hello and welcome to the ISE Equity Index Outlook for November 29th, 2010. This is Patrick Seresna. As always, we start off with the S&P 500 using that SPDR exchange traded fund symbol SPY. And what we've seen here is a shortened week with the Thanksgiving holidays, and the market sort of attempted to break out higher and then consolidate a bit lower in what is now still distinctly in this flagging formation downwards or this profit-taking cycle. If all we are seeing is a profit-taking cycle and these support levels hold, if we are given any catalyst for the market to make a move higher here, then what we could see is a market, if it manages to break above those previous highs, have a rally that continues on to not only the 25-26 overhead target, but also can even potentially go as high as the 128-130 area on the upside. But at this stage, we simply cannot rule out the possibility that this profit-taking cycle is still a little bit more to go. If we have any break of this 118-119 zone with any bit of follow-through, then the retracement zones lie all the way in the 113 to 117 area on the downside. And so there is still room for even from an S&P 500 perspective, even 30-40 S&P points lower in further profit taking. That would in itself do no real technical damage to the market, but simply base it at a lower level to give it before it reverses back up. At this stage, there is simply no evidence to indicate that that an intermediate top is in. We certainly have a short-term top in, but we still at this stage believe that when this entire profit-taking cycle finishes, we should have a resumption back at minimum to retest the previous highs. Next here, I want to take a look at the ISE U.S. Regional Banks Index, which is symbol JLO. And the Regional Banks Index, and just like the home builders, which I'll put up a little bit later, both attempted to break out a couple of weeks ago on the upside, and both immediately reversed lower. Now we've seen some significant technical reversals here in the regional banks. All of the lows that were put in this 2150-22 area were now broken on the downside. It looks like these regional banks are heading down all the way to their August lows, which is around that 20-20.5 area on the downside. If this, if overall the regional banks are sort of creating a bottom, then this bottom line support around the 20-20.5 should provide substantial support for a number of tests into that zone, and we'll evaluate whether or not there's a chance of a breakdown below it. But initially, we fully expect these support lines to be holding at the bottom end. Next here, I want to take a look at the ISE Index, which is a symbol SIN. This is an index of all the casino, tobacco, and distiller companies, and those casino stocks truly have been on fire and really have been driving higher considerably. But we've now seen some significant stalling price action up along these upper ends. That 130, 132 focal point on the upside now rejected it last week, and if in fact we have any break sort of below this 128 level, we could see testing all the way down into the 121 to 123 area on the downside. Again, I would probably expect there to be a resumption of the uptrend at some stage once the profit-taking cycles are finished, but this entire index has already had a substantial rally, so anticipating a very robust new leg higher is probably unrealistic, but we should see further testing of the upper end of the zones while the whole market is rallying. Next here, I want to take a look at the ISE Home Builders Index, which is symbol RUF, and I drew in that blue box where mark off those lows just the way on the regional banks that we showed earlier. We sort of have technical breaks of all these different consolidation lows. At this juncture, it looks like the home builders are going to probably come down and retest all the support lines around this 8.25 area on the downside. So there's going to be a little bit of further weakness in this in this zone. At this juncture, we expect there to be a significant support down at that 8.25 area for at least a couple of tests. If we see that area is continuously being tested with no rebound rallies, we would revisit the idea of where it could go on the downside if it breaks, but we're not initially expecting that support line to be broken in the next week or two. Next year, I want to take a look at the ISE Natural Gas Index, which is a symbol FUM, and more or less we have seen that natural gas index head up toward this 114, 116 zone, and for the last 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks here, we've been consolidating downwards, and really at this stage, just like on the other charts, we're seeing these little flagging formations developing. If there is going to be one more sell cycle still before we establish a short-term bottom, then not only will we see 106 on the downside natural gas, but we could theoretically see even 105 on a temporary basis, just a little bit of further downside testing down into that 105, 106 kind of line where all the highs came in October before the next leg higher. So we could see a little bit more back testing in this zone, but overall I think that this is an index that will roll up and actually continue to rally once it's done this profit taking cycle. Finally, I want to take a look at the ISE Mini FTSE 100 Index, which is the symbol UKX. And now we see the same type of flagging formation developing here. Now, there's obviously some issues with Europe and some of those different things that are creating some cross currents. But overall, this flagging formation should form in correlation with all the global indices. Really, at this stage, we're going through profit-taking cycles on almost all major markets, and really it comes down to where these support lines hold. There's theoretically where the FTSE could profit take all the way down to about the 540 area where all the July and August high came in before it broke out. So theoretically there could be a little bit more deeper selling of maybe even another 25 points lower. But overall we're expecting the support line holds to hold somewhere in those zones, and subsequently the FTSE should begin to rally at some stage when all of the global indices start moving. That was your ISE Equity Index Outlook. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For more information about Patrick Ceresna and to sign up for free index options trade alerts, visit www.optionsource.net. To learn more about ISE index options, visit us at www.ise.com/indexoptions.